Hello everyone, welcome to Roots&Rhyme. My name's Kayla and today I wanted to do a video all about books. It was just my birthday and I got a bunch of books for my birthday that I wanted to show you. And then I thought that I could go over some of the books I want to add to my TBR for the next couple of months. But first, I want to talk about the books that I read January through March and what I rated them. The first book that I read this year was Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This takes place in the same world as her Divine Rivals duology, but I liked this a lot more than I liked Divine Rivals. I really liked the writing and how immersive it was, and just the storyline in general I really liked. It is a longer book. It's over 500 pages. Not too long for a fantasy book, but it really needed the length because it takes place over quite a bit of time. But I thought it was done amazing and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So it was a very strong start to the year. And this book, you do not have to read Divine Rivals to be able to read this at all. But I really liked how the ending of this book tied into Divine Rivals. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for my first book of the year. The second book that I read this year was The Prison Healer by Lynette Nani, and this book I really enjoyed as well. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but I think if I was younger, more at the beginning of my early adulthood reading journey, this would have been a 5 stars for me. I just thought that in some parts the story went a little bit slow and it could have gone a little bit faster, but the ending was really interesting and it makes you really want to read the next book, which I haven't done yet, but I probably will read the next book in the future. The third book that I read this year was Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This is the 4th book, I believe, in the Done and Dusted series. And in a lot of these cowboy romance series, what I like about them is that you get to enjoy all of the characters that you grew to love in the first few books. But this book I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it and it came to a nice conclusion for the series. For January, my library book club's pick was The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami, and I liked the concept of this book and the idea behind it, but I feel like I just didn't like the execution of it. I didn't really like any of the characters, especially the main character. The main character is in a retention center for the majority of the book, and it's essentially a jail, but I just feel like I didn't understand what her values were, I guess, besides work. If something like this happened in the future, I just feel like it would be a lot different of an experience for people who don't live in a big city. And so that's why I think I had a lot of lingering questions that to me left plot holes of how things worked. So not a love for me, but I feel like other people could really like it. After that, I read Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And this book, it's nonfiction. It's supposed to be ways to relieve stress and be helpful to women who are stressed or burned out. I just don't think I was the target audience for this book. It just had a lot of abbreviations and lingo that I did not relate to, so I feel like some people could find this helpful, but I was not the target audience for that. But then, after that, I read something completely different. I read How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, and this book was creepy, and I liked that it had family drama. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Only because the main character in this is a mom, and I felt like she sometimes forgot that she had a daughter, or maybe that she just didn't prioritize her daughter, even though that she implied that her daughter was the most important thing in her life. That was the only thing that knocked it down for me. It was very creepy, and I would read more by this author. And this was one of my book of the month club picks, Before I Forget by Tori Henwood Hone. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars as well. I really enjoyed it. It was a quick read, it's pretty short. And this one, in a completely different way from the last book, is also about family dynamics and family in general. But when I picked it out, the thing that I liked about it was that it had a Luna on the cover. Because for book of the month, you see all of the options for the month listed. And so I clicked this to read what it's about. Sounded very interesting. And it was different than what I thought it was going to be, but in a good way. I think I liked it more than I thought I would, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars as well. And then I read another nonfiction book, Rocking Ordinary by Leah Ann Garfias, and I did enjoy it for a nonfiction book. And since there was a lot of things about her life and everything, I didn't really know what I would rate it, so I didn't give this one a rating, but I do think that this would be inspiring for mothers, especially stay-at-home moms, who are just looking for some motivation or inspiration in their everyday life. The next book that I read was Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and I read this as a buddy read with my best friend, and we both enjoyed it. And I didn't know a lot about it going in, so there were a lot of unexpected things that happened, and how the story played out to an extent was unexpected. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and my friend gave it 4 out of 5 stars as well. We both really enjoyed it, and I will probably read the next one as well. After reading that, I wanted to read another fantasy book, but I went more cozy fantasy for this one. It is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. And I read The Spell Shop with one of my book clubs, and some people liked it, some people didn't like it, and I liked The Spell Shop, so I read this one. And it follows a character that we hear about in The Spell Shop, and I did like it. It was a little slow for me, even though it was a cozy fantasy, which tend to be slower. I feel like some parts dragged on a little bit. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, and I probably will read the next book that she has come out. I just feel like maybe the characters of this one I didn't enjoy as much as the first one. And then my second 5 out of 5 star book this year was The Bright Years by Sarah DeMoff, and I loved this book. It's pretty short, quick read, but she packed a lot in it. And at least the second half of the book, I could not do anything besides read it because it was so unexpected, emotional. I did not know what was going to happen at any point of this book. I liked all the characters, or at least how the characters were done, even if I didn't like them as a person. And I probably cried 2 or 3 times reading this, which made it a 5 star for me. So I would very much recommend this book. And then after that, I read another book for my library book club, and it was Beartown by Frederick Bachman. A lot of people have read this, a lot of people have loved it, and it was not at all what I was expecting. I guess I knew it was a hockey town and things like that, but I did not expect what was going to happen or how things were going to happen. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I just felt like people loved it so much that it was a little overhyped for me. I might have liked it more if I didn't hear all the amazing reviews that made it seem like it was going to be the best book of my life and life-changing. But I did really like it, and I probably will read the next book in this series. The last book that I read in March was Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild. This book, I'm not going to say what happened because it's not in the description, but something towards the beginning very unexpected happens, and it changes the narrative of the book. I liked the concept of it. I didn't like the execution of it. I felt like I had a lot of questions that could have been answered, and there were some things that dragged on that didn't need to drag on for me personally. I gave this a 3 out of 5. I liked it. I didn't love it. And I read this with my mom, and she had similar thoughts to me, So I think she gave it a 3 out of 5 as well. So it was good, but it could have been great if it was just done a little bit differently for me. So these are all of the books I read January through March, a good variety, and I'm hoping in the next few months that I will be able to read more than this, but I'm not sure with gardening and everything. I'll probably end up reading less, but I felt like this was a good start to the year. That was fun, but this is going to be more fun. I went shopping on my birthday and got some books, and I have a Barnes membership, so it renews at the end of March. So in April, when it's my birthday, I normally get my bag, and I picked out the green one this year. I didn't get all of these at Barnes, but I got most of them at Barnes. And I wanted to start with Impossible Creatures. I got the Barnes edition with the dragons to read with my sons. We read chapter books at night, and we recently watched How to Train Your Dragon, the cartoon and the live action one, and so we got this book. So other than that, all the other books are for me. I got When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridzen. And this book says it's about Bo, who's running out of time, and he's only visited by his home care team. He has a dog that his son wants to take away from him, claiming that Bo is too old to properly care for him. And so it seems like it is about that and the relationship between the main character and his dog. I heard really good reviews about this, so I thought I'd give it a try. And then I got No Matter What by Cara Bastone, and I read Promise Me Sunshine by her, and I believe I gave it 5 stars. So I wanted to read another book by her. I have Ready or Not by her as well on my shelf. This one says it's about a married couple who is trying to rebuild their relationship after a traumatic accident, but it also says it's a tender, slow burn romance. I'm not sure how rebuilding a marriage is going to be a slow burn romance, but I have confidence that she will do an amazing job of showing me. And then I got To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast, and I heard a lot of good things about this, a lot of people reading it right now. And it says that it's about Raven, who is trying to save her younger brother from a prison. In this city, if you commit a crime, your punishment is a life sentence at Endlock, and she is going to try to save him, and that there will be romance in it as well. So I'm excited to read this. And then I got Starside by Alex Astor, which is the Target edition, and it is beautiful. But I haven't read anything by her. I didn't read Lightlark because I felt like maybe it would be too YA for me, but this is an adult romantasy, I believe. I feel like I will probably like this, and some people said that it was very similar to Lightlark, but since I haven't read that, I don't think that will be a problem for me. But I thought that this edition was really pretty, and another fantasy to add to the collection. And then another fantasy book I got was Direbound by Sable Sorensen, and this one is also a beautiful edition, and I don't completely know what this is about, but I like going into books without knowing the whole plot of it. I hate when I read a description of a book and it tells you almost everything that's going to happen. Some people I trust said they like this book, so I'm going to trust that without reading too much into it and go into it pretty blind. And then a completely different book I got, Lake Effect by Cynthia D'Aprix Sweeney, and the Barnes that I went to had a big display for this, so I thought I would give it a try. It takes place in 1977. At the end of the description, it just says, written with the author's signature humor and style, Lake Effect is a wise and probing look at love and desire, mothers and daughters, loss and grief, and what we owe people we love the most. So I thought this sounded really interesting, and I'm going to give it a try. And then I saw this at Barnes. I got this because I really liked the cover when I saw it, and I thought it sounded interesting. The top of the description says, a woman haunted by a dark inheritance returns to the woods where her mother vanished. So this is very different probably from all the other books that I got, but I thought this would be fun to try. It also said it's Midwestern, so I think that it was meant to be. And then at Target I got The Faraway Inn, and this is by Sarah Beth Durst, who wrote The Enchanted Greenhouse that I read earlier. And I do not believe that this one is part of the series, but the third one in the series is coming out later this summer. And I believe this is a different world because it's set in Vermont, and the other one is set in a fantasy world. And this takes place at a B&B, but it sounds very interesting. And then the last book that I got is The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Soto Yambao. And this is the author that wrote Water Moon. I haven't read that, but I know that that was very popular. The Elsewhere Express appears to those whose lives are adrift, and it's a magical train seeming to carry very rare and special cargo, a sense of purpose, peace, and belonging. So I think that sounds very inspiring to read, I hope. And this edition is beautiful as well, but I wanted a variety of books, and I think I accomplished that. And then the last thing that I wanted to do was to draw a couple of TBR prompts from my little jar. I do a book journal, and I like having prompts to go off of, especially because I have a lot of books that I want to read. So I think I'll do a couple of TBR prompts and then show you a couple of books that I am going to plan on reading in the future no matter what. But let's see what we draw first. Okay, and the first one says, a book with a one-word title. Okay, let's see if I have any. A lot of them have the. Oh, I have Fearless, Fearful, Unseen, and Hamnet. And I think I'm going to go with Hamnet because I'm going to be watching the movie soon, and I did want to read this first. And it is a very short, so hopefully it's a quick read. But yeah, this will be my first book of my TBR. I think I'm going to do 4 just to get some inspiration, and then I'll show you the books that I am for sure going to read soon. A sci-fi or fantasy book with a female lead. I have a lot of those. I think all my fantasies have a female lead. What one do I want to read? I think I'm going to choose this. Yeah, because I wanted to read that. I just got it. I'm for sure going to read this soon. Okay, 2 more. A book you got as a gift. So that would for sure be one of the 2 Target books because my mom got those for me. So one of these 2. And I am going to go with Starside. I am feeling in a fantasy mood, so hopefully I will get to these very quickly. Okay, I'm going to do one more. A book that might make you cry. That's hard. Oh, I know. I know for sure this one. Probably. I have a couple. Mom. One of these I think will make me cry because this is about a man getting his dog taken away. And this is Molly Burke's memoir. I probably will get to this at least this summer, but I am more confident that this will make me cry. So these are the ones that I am going to do for my TBR prompts. And I am going to rearrange my cart when I'm done with this. But I wanted to show you that I'm for sure going to be reading The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. I did start it the day that it released because I was excited to see what the vibe was. Mom. I'm interested to see how she's gonna pull the trope of this off because the main character is dating this guy. I think that she's going to end up with the guy's one of his best friends, so I'm interested to see how she's gonna do that to make the characters both still likable. And then my current read is The Love Haters by Catherine Center. My mom and I are reading this together, and we were hoping that since it has still been snowing, that this would give us some summer and spring hope that it will eventually get warm. Hopefully by the end of April it will be warmer. I'm so excited about all of the books that I got. Some of the books that I read, most of them, I really enjoyed. If you want to see more book videos in the future and see what books I'm reading, please like and leave a comment below letting me know what books you want to see me read and what you'd be interested in seeing in the future. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. Bye!